Hello, my name is Jamie and I have HS, Hidradenitis Suppurativa, a most likely genetic, non-contagious skin disease. HS causes masses to form underneath the skin. Over time, these masses grow, then eventually open and drain. Now, this process can take months to years to fully complete, but one thing stays the same. You're always left with extremely painful scars that then themselves can open and start the cycle all over again, repeatedly. I myself was diagnosed with HS a little over a year ago, but I've had it since I was 8. Usually, HS doesn't present itself until puberty, but I was unlucky and got it early. I'm 20 now, so that means I've had HS for 12 years. God. For most people, it starts presenting in the groin area, and it did with me. Given I was 8, I didn't know what was happening. I, for some reason, thought I might have an STD or an STI. I didn't know what those were. I was 8, but I convinced myself that was what was wrong, and I didn't tell anyone because I was too scared. I finally went to the doctor about 11 years later when my girlfriend made me because I was in so much pain I could barely move. The worst flare I had was about 2 years ago. It was underneath my left arm, and I could not sleep for 3 days because of the pain. I just cried. My sister even commented asking if I was okay the next day because it was a complete wreck. It also was pinching a nerve, so I couldn't move my arm for 3 days either. And my boss asked me about it. I'm a cashier at a restaurant, so I used my hands handling money, and I was struggling to work with one hand because I couldn't move my arm. And because of that, I wasn't getting proper circulation, and my hand started to go numb, and it turned blue. It was just not good. This disease is excruciating. There is no known actual cause for HS, but people either believe it's genetic, hormonal, environmental, or dietary. I believe mine is hormonal. I don't get any certain flares when I eat foods. Most of the time with HS, yeast is one of the triggers for a lot of people. I seem to be fine with that. Mine only really presents itself when I'm stressed or around my menstrual cycle, which for me also kind of isn't good because for some reason I get my menstrual cycle 2 to 3 times a month instead of once. So I'm either always starting a flare, in the middle of one, or just getting over one. It's just a constant cycle. I'm always in pain. It never stops. The shortest cycle that I've gone through was 7 hours. I was at work. I came home, took off my bra, and one of the first signs is itching. And if you're a girl, you kind of know when you take off your bra, kind of adjust, like you kind of itch a little bit. So I scratched without thinking about it, and my finger ended up inside my breast by a good few centimeters. That one was terrible. I didn't even have the start of a flare when I went to work that day. It went through the entire process at work and then opened when I scratched it. And I just cried for I don't know how long afterwards. 1, because it hurt so much, but 2, because I had just came off of a huge flare and I was just so defeated and done, and I didn't want to have to deal with it again. I still have a rather nasty scar from that one. My longest flare is actually still happening. It started about 3.5, 4 years ago. You can't really see it with my dress on, but it's right in the middle of my chest. About a month or so ago, it started to grow bigger at an extremely rapid rate, and I thought, okay, this is finally it, it's gonna open, but it didn't. What it did do was, instead of growing forward like usual, it grew back into my chest and pushed on my sternum. If I bent more than that, I couldn't breathe. It took the wind out of me, and it was so so excruciatingly painful. I only wear bras at work because of this, and I could barely go to work. I was having the wind knocked out of me constantly, and I could barely move. If I moved my arms, it would move my breast, which would irritate the bump. I just couldn't. The main areas I get mine are underneath my breasts, on my bra line, in my armpits, and in my private area. Because of that, I only wear bras at work. I do not wear underwear, and I always wear dresses, even in winter. A few weeks ago, living in Iowa, we had the polar vortex or something like that, and it was negative 50 degrees here. I stayed inside as much as I could, but when I did go out, I had to wear a dress. Given I was smart about it and put on layers, but I knew that those few minutes of being uncomfortable walking in and out of a building to my car or vice versa was worth saving the months of excruciating pain I would be in if I wore a pair of pants. AHS usually occurs where skin rubs together or hair grows. I'm rather large, so that is a good majority of my body just with the skin rubbing together. I get it on my scalp, under my arms, my bra line, private areas, on my legs, on my back, where my apron for work is tied around my waist. So because of that, I don't wear pants. I physically cannot, or I will be crying the entire day. Some people with HS and some doctors say that it's a myth that shaving causes flares. That may be true for some people, but for me, it absolutely does. The last time I shaved was about 2.5 years ago, and the person I was with at the time insisted I shave my underarms and private area. And I was immobile for I don't know how long. The pain that came the next day when I woke up was unbearable. I regretted it instantly. I, at the time, didn't realize that was what it was from, but I had had similar reactions before when I shaved, just not to that extent. After that, I refused to. So, yes, I wear dresses, and the arms are usually cut out, so I'm not rubbing up against them. So you can see my armpit hair. I have kind of gotten used to it and people kind of looking at me. I've had plenty of relatives tell me that I have to shave, which I don't have to do anything that someone else tells me in regards to my appearance and my own comfortability. I understand that they don't understand what's going on or why I don't shave, but it is pretty annoying for people to just assume that you're being lazy or just trying to be weird for the sake of it. I really wouldn't consider myself much of a girly girl stereotype, but because I wear dresses, I'm portrayed as that quite a bit. This does sometimes bug me because I'm not cisgender, but that's another video. I'm going to put up a picture highlighted with all the places that I'm affected with HS. I am considered stage 3. I have tunneling, which means the masses or cells, whatever you want to call them, connect to each other. So I'll have a mass forming in my armpit and one that's still open, that is already opened and is leaking, and the fluid from the top one will flow into the bottom one and will continuously 24/7 be expelling liquid. I know that hearing about this might be kind of gross, but it's not as gross as having to live with it. I'm so lucky that I have my girlfriend Sarah. She's been so supportive, doesn't think I'm gross. She'll help me apply cream and bandages and wraps and anything I need to help me get through the day. She's been a complete lifesaver. She's the only reason I even have this diagnosis and can kind of figure out what works for me and research more and try to help myself. Though it would also be really nice if doctors knew what HS was. Mine had to Google what it was when I was first diagnosed, so yeah. This disease isn't being researched enough. There are a few studies going on, but not enough. It's not a very attractive disease. It's not as common, even though millions of people suffer. It's not diagnosed enough because people don't know what it is and they mistake it for other things. There is no definitive cause for HS. There is no treatment, and there is definitely no cure. Millions of people suffer in pain on a daily basis because of this, and no one can help them. There have been days where I'm just bedridden and I can't do anything for myself, and I feel like a complete burden on everyone. And because of HS and other things, I have contemplated suicide. It's such a devastating and debilitating disease. HS has an extremely high suicide rate. If it's not because of the pain, it's because of the social stigma of people believing that it's because you're unclean or you don't wash yourself enough, which is not true. It is genetic, and you cannot catch it. It's not because we don't take enough showers. Trust me, I've tried. I've taken 3 showers in a day for months straight trying to fix it. Or it's from the embarrassment of the smell that comes with the leakage and the draining. It's not pretty. I can admit that it is pretty gross, but it's not something that you can control. It's something that is happening to you, and it's terrible. And the fact that people the fact that once you try to explain what's wrong and people just dismiss you as being unclean or unsanitary when you're struggling to get through the day, it's just terrible. I can't even describe it. I've told people at work that I have this condition, and I've let them know, hey, if I smell, this is why. Please don't be an asshole about it. Just tell me I need to go put on some perfume or deodorant or something. I have a little stash at my work for this particular reason. Because when I was first working, it started up more because I was more active. And I didn't realize that I was smelling, and I got complaints, but it was because of my HS. And I didn't know what to do. They didn't know what to do. I thought I was going to lose my job because of this. And people do lose their jobs. People have to go on disability because of this. People can't work. When you're in stage 3 like I am, it'll move onto your face. And I'm extremely worried about that happening. Because I work with people, and I don't want to give that up. I don't want to give up working. Sorry. It's just so difficult living day to day with this. I know that this probably won't reach many people. I only have 12 subscribers, and I'm just some random girl from Iowa. But I want to try to bring more awareness to this because nobody's talking about it because it is such an unattractive disease. But people are suffering. I know that there's more I want to say, but I'm kind of getting a little too emotional. And I do plan to do updates on my HS later on. So for now, that's kind of where I'm going to leave it. I'll give more information about the disease in other videos. But for now, I'm Jamie. I have no idea what I'm doing with my life. But I'm going to keep wearing dresses and not wearing underwear.